It's good to have you join us on Nationwide today. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Hauwa, Salihu, Adama. We start with developments in the ECOWAS sub-region as President Muhammadu Buhari is urging what he calls the unconstitutional authority in the Republic of Mali to act responsibly by releasing unconditionally and with immediate effect President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta and other senior government officials in detention. The president, who stated these while addressing the ECOWAS extraordinary session on Mali, maintains that military involvement in governance in whatever guise is an aberration. State House correspondent Adama completes the report.
Indeed, it saddens me greatly as we meet today to discuss the turn of events in Mali.
This extraordinary session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government is convened to discuss and find solutions to the disturbing political situation in Mali following Tuesday's coup d'etat. President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, who announced his resignation, perhaps under duress to avoid bloodshed, is still in detention alongside Prime Minister Boubou Cissé and other senior members of his government. The action of the military, President Buhari said, runs counter to the letter and spirit of ECOWAS protocol on good governance and democracy.
The events in Mali are great setbacks for regional diplomacy, which have grave consequences for the peace and security of West Africa. Mali has not only descended into political chaos, but also socio-economic and security disaster with potential tragic consequences to the sub-region.
The authority of ECOWAS Heads of State and Government, the Nigerian leader insists, should not allow this dastardly act to stand.
The closure of borders already called for by ECOWAS should be our first line of action. We need to isolate series of sanctions regimes that can create and sustain sufficient pressure on the military to force a return to constitutional governance. A politically stable Mali is paramount and crucial to the stability of the sub-region. ECOWAS, the African Union, and the United Nations should not stand by while the situation deteriorates.
While appreciating the strong statements of condemnation by the international bodies, President Buhari urged them to continue working with ECOWAS until sanity returns to Mali with the restoration of civil administration. From the State House, Adama, NTA News.
Meanwhile, assessing the impact of the ECOWAS Vision 2020 and proposal of a new vision post-2020 has informed a national consultation workshop organized by the Ministries of Foreign Affairs, Finance, Budget and National Planning in conjunction with the ECOWAS Commission. Chimobi Walter Naji reports that the workshop is further aimed at deepening regional integration.
Having a robust economic vision both in Nigeria and the ECOWAS region is regarded as a veritable tool of regional development, and Nigeria has played a vital role in ensuring ECOWAS achieves this vision. In recent times, the regulatory role of ECOWAS has been brought to question following various trade and political infractions in different member states. Now, this necessitated these stakeholders' consultative workshop to find lasting solutions to the problems of insecurity, trade barriers, and regional integration.
And in response to the many persistent challenges facing the region, the ECOWAS has established a roadmap to come up with a post-2020, in other words, ECOWAS 2050 vision for the sub-region. And the objective of this workshop, therefore, is to collectively assess the ECOWAS Vision 2020 and to ensure that the ECOWAS post-2020 vision reflects Nigeria's national interest.
I would therefore like to appeal to the Federal Republic of Nigeria to start to reflect on how the new ECOWAS Vision 2050 will be mainstreamed into the long-term development plans of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
To also bring the people together in a focused group discussion forum to gather their views, experience, opinions, and share ideas on the three fundamental areas, that is, the achievement of ECOWAS during the implementation of ECOWAS Vision 2020, the new development challenges in the region that need to be addressed post-2020 vision blueprint.
It is expected that the workshop will create some sort of blueprint for a post-2020 vision. In Abuja, Chibubi Walter Naji, NTA News.
And to the judiciary now, where the Chief Magistrate Court, one sitting at Ibrahim Taiwo Road, Kaduna, has discharged and acquitted 2 of the 3 persons accused of killing Nigeria's late flying officer Tolulokpe Arotile of the Nigerian Air Force on the 14th of July 2020. This follows legal advice from the Department of Public Prosecution of the Kaduna State Ministry of Justice. Achari Maxwell joins us live now from Kaduna at this time with the latest on the court proceedings. Achari, could you please give us a sense of how things played out in court earlier today and how things stand legally for the 3rd suspect?
Thank you, Hauwa. Good afternoon. Before I go to what happened in court today, this whole thing started on the 23rd of July when the Nigerian Air Force handed over the 3 suspects to the Kaduna State Police Command, and they were arraigned in court before the Chief Magistrate Emmanuel Nehemiah on the 12th of August. On that day, that was precisely last week, Wednesday, we were in court, and the 3 suspects were brought to court. The police carried out their investigation in 2 aspects. First, they took it from the traffic offense side of it, and then the other one is the criminal aspect of it. So last Wednesday, we were in court, and the 3 suspects were brought to court on 4 count charges. They said they were recklessly driving the cars. That's the driver, in particular, Nehemiah Onoja. He was charged with 4 count charges. The first was that he was driving with the driver's license, and the second was that he was a reckless driver and a dangerous driver that led to the death of the flying officer. And then fourthly, he was charged with driving without care and attention. And then the last court sitting, the police were still investigating the other part of the case. That's the criminal, that's the culpable homicide. So within the week, that investigation was completed and they were arraigned in court. So what played out, while they were yet to do that, they wrote to the Kaduna State Ministry of Justice for legal advice. So what played out today in the court was that we got this letter from the court, from the Kaduna State Ministry of Justice. And it was the content of the letter that advised that the 3 suspects, that's the 2 suspects, the second and the 3rd suspect, that they have no case to answer in court, but that they were only mere passengers. So they were asked to be discharged and acquitted. That was what happened today in court based on this advice from the Kaduna State Ministry of Justice.
Thank you, Achari. But what is the fate of the third suspect now?
Yes, that's Nehemiah Adejo.
Yes.
What happens is that for him now, the police has concluded the other part of the investigation that has to do with culpable homicide, and he will be charged to court. The magistrate does not have the jurisdiction to hear that aspect of the case, so he's going to be charged to the Federal High Court, maybe within the days ahead. So for him, he's going to be arraigned in court because that is the second part of the investigation. As of last week already was in court on traffic offences, which is also found.
Thank you very much, Achari. We truly appreciate your contribution on Nationwide, and we'll be expecting any updates as events unfold on the matter in Kaduna. Thank you. It's now time for us to join Ruth in Lagos for more stories. Good afternoon to you, Ruth.
Good afternoon, Hauwa. 23 young innovators and tech firms have been awarded a total grant of 100 million naira by the Lagos State government to pursue various technology-driven innovations across the 6 pillars of the development agenda of the Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration at the Lagos State Government House, Ikeja. Nosa Osla completes the story.
The recipients are the first set of beneficiaries to be picked to benefit from the 250 million naira seed capital earmarked last year as Research and Innovation Fund by the state government. The awardees were selected through highly competitive process overseen by the Lagos State Science Research and Innovation Council, established in 2019 by Governor Sanwo-Olu with the mandate to facilitate and encourage the development of innovative solutions to solve local problems using cutting-edge technology. The beneficiaries commended the governor for creating opportunities for tech startups to push forward their ideas. Governor Sanwo-Olu congratulated the successful awardees of the research funds, urging them to apply the grants judiciously to use it to transform their ideas into reality.
We also believe that the local challenge are best solved by thinking that we understand and we appreciate our local content's peculiarities. Lagos supported solutions to Lagos-specific challenges. Let us think global, but let us act local. Whatever our problems, let's be able to domesticate it and be able to take our own local solutions to see how it fits into what the things we're doing.
The governor urged unsuccessful applicants not to lose hope, charging them to reapply for the grant in the next round of selection. He said the state government would be increasing the grant to accommodate more innovators in the subsequent application. In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
Now away from the government house to the seaports, importers at the Apapa and Tinkan Island seaports are growing under huge surcharge imposed by international shipping firms on cargoes. This development, according to key players, is unacceptable, describing the charges as an act of economic sabotage. Dr. Oguyemi has the report.
From spending days in traffic assessing the ports, coupled with cumbersome shipping process, demurrage charges arising from lateness to returning empty containers, and not forgetting the COVID-19 pandemic, the business of shipping has become less profitable, according to Kayode Farinto.
Now that the cost of cargo clearance is even still very high in our country, if you bring this in, I am afraid Nigerian importation would drop by about 55%.
Without recourse to this and other obstacles, Nigerian shippers were dealt another blow following the imposition of $1,025 surcharge by an international shipping firm, an increase of more than 400%.
Everybody should come on board to oppose this, because if this is levied and collected, then there will be a serious impact, negative impact on the economy. It will go to the little recovery we have made from COVID. It will go to worsening the poverty situation. It will worsen the unemployment situation. It will also, bring about, inflationary trend.
As the Shippers Council awaits further directives to support its stand, stakeholders have urged the federal government to take action against the erring international shipping firm for operating against the rule of trade facilitation agenda of the International Maritime Organization during the pandemic period. In Lagos, Dotun Okunyemi, NTA News.
And from the ports in Lagos, we head back to Abuja, where Hauwa will bring us more stories after this break. Do stay with us.
NTA TV College Jos, an affiliate of Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, is currently admitting students for its ordinary diploma programs in television journalism, television production and television engineering. Interested candidates are advised to obtain relevant information concerning eligibility at our website at www.ntatvc.edu.ng or marketing department of any NTA station nationwide. For further information, contact Assistant Director, Marketing, NTA TV College Jos on 0803-314-4383 or the Academic Office of the College on 0806-980-9807. Announcer, Registrar.
And NTA say you can help Nigeria to flatten the curve on COVID-19, just as you can help flatten the curve on corruption. Follow transparency, accountability, and integrity just as you follow health guidelines. Stay home with integrity and maintain your distance from corruption, just as you stay away from COVID-19 by maintaining social distance. Report every act of corruption to ICPC, just as you report COVID-19 to NCDC. Stay away from corruption, stay safe from COVID-19. Report any act of corruption to ICPC on toll-free number 0800-2255-4272. This message is brought to you by ICPC and NTA.
Now to the latest on COVID-19. The NCDC has confirmed 592 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The new cases recorded from 16 states indicate that Plateau has the highest number of new infections with 186, followed by Lagos with 172. Next is the Federal Capital Territory with 62 cases. Others are Oyo 27, Delta 25, Rivers 20, and Ondo 19, while Edo has 18 cases and Kaduna with 17 cases. Enugu has 12 new cases, Akwa Ibom with 10, and Ogun 7. Abia and Gombe have 6 each, while Kano and Osun have 3 cases each. Nigeria now has 50,488 confirmed cases, out of which 37,304 have been successfully treated and discharged, while 985 unfortunately have died of the virus. Decentralized testing and an increase in human resource have been identified as some of the factors that can prove useful in the war against COVID-19. This formed part of talking points while survivors of COVID-19 on Good Morning Nigeria shared their experiences. Daniel Adiri tells us more.
I had this thing on the heart, it seemed like I could shake it off, but it didn't quite, come off. And then also I had sort of slight ache on the legs,
The first 3 days was, I couldn't, it was hell for me.
It was when my wife, wasn't responding to treatment, and then she had to be evacuated to the isolation center. Okay? So that was when fear set in for me.
On the 9th day, I became a little bit worried when my younger sister, who is staying with me, started exhibiting symptoms. So I was very, very apprehensive at that point.
The war against COVID-19 is far from over. But in order to win the daily battle against the global pandemic, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, noted that Nigerians must overlook stigmatization and submit themselves for testing, which he says will help in flattening the curve.
people in the initial stages, felt that if they had it, how people will react to them as if they were lepers or something like that, and so I thought it was very important, that we should also address that so that people can feel much more easy about getting tested, about having it, and that kind of thing.
Addressing the issue of self-medication and application of unorthodox medicine, some of the guests advocated cessation from self-medication, while others urged relevant stakeholders to look inward for homegrown solutions to treating the COVID-19 virus.
We, in all forms, do not really encourage self-medication, just like I said. More so, this traditional medicine that they are taking is not really encouraging because you don't know the components, the composition, and the quantity, and we're talking about a viral attack in the system.
I strongly believe that it is high time we started looking inward and develop our herbs and package it so that we can also use it to do many things that they now classify as orthodox now.
People do not believe anything that is coming from government until you begin to drum it to them, and you now start to sound like a broken record.
The guests, however, advised Nigerians to strictly adhere to all non-pharmaceutical COVID-19 protocols, as this, they say, will help improve the fight against the pandemic. In Abuja, Daniel Aderiye, NTA News.
And still on the coronavirus pandemic, the National Orientation Agency has expressed worry over the nonchalant attitude of some Nigerians with regards to the realities of COVID-19. This was part of concerns raised by the agency in its report on the 4th and 5th sensitization interventions against COVID-19 presented to newsmen in Abuja. Kenneth Nanim completes the report.
With the outbreak of coronavirus pandemic, the National Orientation Agency says it has carried out 5 different interventions at various levels on sensitization and public enlightenment campaigns on the dangers of COVID-19 and how best to stay safe in line with the safety measures prescribed by the PTF on COVID-19 across the 774 local government areas of the country. However, the agency regrets that reports from the field reveal that most Nigerians have continued to go about their normal businesses regardless of concerns over personal hygiene and safety protocols such as wearing of face masks, hand washing and social distancing against spread of coronavirus.
The National Orientation Agency will continue to preach. We will continue to emphasize, to synthesize, and to advocate that individuals must take personal responsibility to protect themselves and by so doing also protecting others.
The agency is asking organizations and individuals to take responsibility and not to take the gradual easing of lockdown for granted, especially now that schools have partially resumed for visiting classes and with political campaigns ongoing in some states. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
And we are not done with the coronavirus pandemic, as we do know that until a vaccine is found and made available, nations and communities will need to use other ways to curb the spread of the virus. One measure that has been most effective in the early stage of the outbreak in Nigeria was contact tracing, used by the authorities to identify persons who came in close contact with confirmed positive patients. And it helped significantly to control the outbreak. However, with the infections currently at community level, it will seem that contact tracing has waned. Dr. Isaac Egboja, a public health specialist, joins me now live. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Egboja. There are so many cases surrounding COVID-19 infection, and we are learning new things with each passing day. Do you think we may already be lapsing into what I would term a victor poise, considering our rather impressive recovery ratio, and therefore relaxing on some aggressive like contact tracing?
Certainly not. At the beginning, there were fewer number of cases, much fewer. There were only very few. And those cases at the beginning of this pandemic were people who came from other countries. And therefore, the number of contacts they had were few and were relatively easier to trace. But now that it has spread to the community and there's community transmission of the virus, it is not really very easy to trace every person that a particular person has been, that is infected, has come in contact with. However, what is being done is any family where an infected person comes from is being inquired, or the office or the person works, or the people that the person stays around with is being inquired, and those people are encouraged to go for test, even though it is not possible to do individual persons that a particular infected person has come in contact with the way we did at the beginning, because of the large number of people that are now infected, and because the spread is in the community and people are going around from one place to the other. Sometimes you find somebody in the market in the morning, and in the evening he's in the house, and in the afternoon he has visited a friend.
Dr. Eboja, I do totally agree that our national response is reflective of emerging events and dictated by some of the results from measures being put in place. However, there are increasing concerns over the rather lax in compliance with some of the non-pharmaceutical measures being advocated by government. Do you perhaps think making it legally binding is the way to go, or enforcement should be stepped up?
I think that enforcement should be stepped up, sensitization should continue. Making it legal may not necessarily win the war. I think that when we appeal to people's conscience, to people's reasoning, that might probably be the one that will last longer. When people are forced to obey the law, they will take shortcuts, and they will evade the law when they look around and don't see law enforcement agents. But when it is that we are relying on our own conscience, especially there is a policeman that is bigger than the Inspector General of Police, and that's our conscience. If everybody is afraid of that policeman, which is inside each one of us, then we'll be able to solve the problem.
No doubt we are apparently all still adjusting to the new reality and the new normal, which has become our current situation now. How can an individual or families make this whole process of adjusting easier?
First, by trying to believe what is being said, with the information that health authorities, especially the NCDC, is putting out. If you don't wash your hands frequently, you don't wear your masks when you go out, and you don't keep physical distancing from people, there's no way we're going to solve this problem. Families are encouraged to make sure that their members comply. When you're at home, if you go out and you come in, wash your hands before you enter the house, before you touch the number of the door, sanitize yourself, make sure that everybody is obeying the rule. This is the first thing to do from the family. Then it will go out and everybody will comply, because we're all members of families.
I guess that will be making increased hygiene our way of life. Thank you very much, Dr. Eboga. We truly appreciate your coming on Nationwide today.
You're welcome. Look forward to see you again.
Thank you very much. And moving on, the Nigeria Governors Forum is scaling up capacity in meeting desperate situations in the fight against COVID-19 and adopting sustainable measures in the delivery of critical services through increased commitment to intervention support partners. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that this was captured in a communique drafted at the end of its 15th teleconference on COVID-19.
The Nigerian Governors Forum is facilitating access to increased funds from the Universal Basic Education Commission through counterpart waiver from federal government in view of the impact of COVID-19. 29 states have received funding from Regional Disease Surveillance Systems Enhancement Project to strengthen public health response. This is in addition to molecular laboratories in 32 states. Data from COVID-19 tests conducted in the country show that 20 local government areas account for 50% of the COVID-19 cases. Hence, states are required to scale up risk communication campaigns. The NGF ad hoc committee led by Dr. Kayode Fayemi met with President Muhammadu Buhari over prevailing security situation in the country, where commitment to end the crisis topped the agenda. The forum received an update from Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal of Sokoto State on the implementation of Executive Order 10 and financial autonomy for state legislature and judiciary. The NGF, also in collaboration with World Bank, has negotiated a flexible payment term for the acquisition of a software e-procurement solution for all states in the country with 30% advance payment. States are expected to publish a consolidated revenue code, public procurement and debt management laws before 30th of September 2020 to be assessed under the State's Financial Transparency, Accountability and Sustainability Annual Performance Assessment. State governments promise to cooperate with the verification teams from the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation for assessment of the 2019 STFAS, as well as prevailed on doctors to ease their demands to avert a prolonged industrial dispute. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Airline operations are gradually picking up with an average flight frequency of 65 to 70% at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. Aviation correspondent Emmanuel Anyimio reports that the gradual passenger increase is due to the confidence in the sector going by the strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols.
6 weeks after the reopening of the airport for domestic flight operation, the airside is still begging for the usual hustle and bustling due to flight frequency reduction by airline operators.
They've gradually been able to build confidence over a short period of time because it's been barely just over a month that we resumed operations. And yeah, frequencies are pretty much back to normal.
As at the time of filing this report, a Benin-bound aircraft with 50 passenger capacity has 49 people on board, while this aircraft from Lagos with 140 capacity arrived with 122 passengers.
Although it may sound impressive to hear that most seats of some airlines are almost full, the fact is that due to the current reality of COVID-19, most airlines have reduced their frequency in order to cut cost.
They're coming back already, mainly Thursday and Friday, normal booming. You can see the place is just still scanty, not completely okay yet.
Yeah, there's some increase towards weekends, like today and tomorrow. It's better than Monday, Tuesday, maybe likely Wednesday. Like from today, my flights are almost full to Port Harcourt, to Yola and Benin.
For me personally, I've never entertained any fear as regards to flight schedule. Since the resumption of flights, movement, and people are traveling, at least all measures are being observed.
Domestic flights in and out of the Abuja airport have been smooth, with passengers already used to the COVID-19 protocol required by all passengers and operators. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
To other matters now, at this point in time when the global economy is still reeling from the impact of the coronavirus pandemic and most national economies are contrasting, countries are exploring avenues to boost commercial activities and generate more income. Many economists and fiscal analysts appear to believe that in spite of the pandemic, investment opportunities abound, and for Nigeria, one of the many areas that offer huge potential in investment and returns is the mining subsector. Minister of State for Mines and Steel Development, Dr. Uchechukwu Oga, joins me via Zoom now. Thank you for coming on Nationwide, Minister. We have often talked about potential, and the rhetoric of how well we can do in solid minerals is quite a popular one. Let's begin with something as basic as data, which is at the heart of the industry. Why does it seem that we may not have gotten it right when it comes to geophysical survey and geoscience data in fostering the growth and vision for the sector?
Thank you. One thing I want to say concerning that is that first, we must appreciate President Buhari for his enormous vision for diversification of the Nigerian economy. When he came in 2015, the predecessor in the office through the current governor of Ekiti State, Nigeria embarked on a geoscience data, and that project is currently ongoing, and that project is going to give Nigeria a whole lot of information as to the commercial viability of some of the minerals in Nigeria. So a lot is being done in the ministry concerning geodata and geoscience information regarding to minerals. So I believe that very soon the issue of data will be a thing of the past as concerns data in the mineral and mining sector.
Okay, in our quest to evolve strategies for the sector as well as take ownership and drive the process, how far have the institutional reforms taken shape in agencies?
Well, currently a lot of reformation is going on, like you said, in terms of the agencies, whether if they are the institutional agencies or the conventional parastatal agencies. A lot of reformation is going on, and there's been a lot of capacity building within the parastatals to ensure that we have all that it takes to stand to at the time when the diversification is coming on. So as far as institutional framework and strengthening this institutional framework, the ministry has done a lot, and a lot is being done currently in all the parastatals, in all the agencies, to ensure that the capacity building is maintained in the relevant agencies.
Okay, before I let you go, this is a very fragile sector, especially if you have to place it side by side the oil and gas sector. In terms of revenue generation, what will be your final word in terms of building confidence in investors?
Well, for me, I can tell you honestly, because I'm coming from the oil and gas sector, I can tell you that this sector is a sector for the future. And it's a sector that I believe that when you want to invest, it's a sector that you invest, you are sure of your future. Because if you look at it today, gold is on the increase, other minerals are on the increase. Basically, if you look at it, the future, the fourth industrial revolution is all about minerals. And this is what we're saying, that this is the key sector for investors to look into, because it's an investment for the future. It is a sector for the future. And that is why we are saying Nigeria is blessed with the capacity. We have the minerals. Investors should come and invest in Nigeria, because we are strengthening both the legal and the institutional framework to ensure that investors are protected in every area. At the end of the day, their investment is secured.
Dr. Uchechukwu Oga, Minister of State for Mines and Steel Development, many thanks for your contribution to Nationwide.
Thank you.
Now to Sokoto, and Asmao is on standby with the next set of reports. Hello, Asmao.
Good evening and welcome to Sokoto. Inspector General of Police Abubakar Adamu, who led a presidential delegation on security matters to Zuru Emirate Council in Kebbi State, has called for sincere commitment to the fight against insecurity in the country by all stakeholders. Usman Abdullahi Shehu reports.
Stakeholders at the meeting include representatives of Miyetti Allah, Vigilant Group, traditional and religious leaders, as well as members representing Zuru constituency both at state and national levels, among others. The meeting was the first of its kind to be attended by any special presidential delegation aimed to propounding solution to the misunderstanding between Vigilant Group and Fulani in Zuru Emirate. The Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Abubakar Adamu, said The insecurity in Zuru Emirate is of concern. That is why President Muhammadu Buhari directed the delegation to come and provide lasting solution. The IGP said the incessant clashes in Zamfara, Katsina and Kebbi was due to lack of control over the vigilant group known as NSAK.
In a situation where a group of people come together genuinely to protect themselves, but there is no command and control, then we'll be moving towards chaotic situation. The federal government has realized the importance of partnering with the community. That is the reason why the federal government has embarked the strategy of community policing.
The IGP Muhammad Abubakar Adamu disclosed that the federal government is successfully working with neighboring countries to stop the influx of arms and ammunition into the country as another strategy to checkmate banditry and insecurity. The host governor Abubakar Atiku Bagud urged all groups to work within the constituted authorities.
What solves problems is the acceptance by people to live together and work together and hold each other's hand so that we can produce peace.
The meeting resolved that an urgent subsequent meeting will follow in Abuja with selective stakeholders to come up with a holistic peace master plan to end the crisis. In Birnin Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
Kebbi State government has called for full representation of its indigents in all federal establishments whenever the opportunity prevails. Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu made the call while receiving the new Federal Character Commissioner from the state, Alhaji Abubakar Atiku. Again, Usman Abdullahi Shehu reports.
Presenting his letter of introduction to Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, the new Federal Commissioner, Federal Character Commission Alhaji Abubakar Atiku Bulu, pledged to abide by his oath of office and a firm commitment to work in line with his official functions as well as protecting the rights, privileges and interests of Kebbi State. He also thanked President Muhammadu Buhari for the opportunity to serve the nation.
I intend to make that office productive. And this can only be done with the support and cooperation of the Chief Executive of the state. And I know His Excellency is a committed personality.
Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu expressed appreciation to President Muhammadu Buhari for approving the appointment and urged the new commissioner to use his vast knowledge and experience to ensure Kebbi State receive its equal share of federal appointments and projects. The governor equally assures that government will extend him all privileges and rights accorded federal agencies in the state.
Even when a government agency has been given pride of place, it requires people with personality, people with courage in order for society to benefit from such organizations and what they do.
The new federal commissioner was the immediate past commissioner for works and transport in Kebbi State. In Birnin Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
And that's it from Sokoto. The news will continue with Lanre in Ibadan after these messages. Please stay with us.
She cries. She cries in anguish and in pain. She bears the scourge of her grief. She toils in vain for justice and succumbs to silence. He gloats over his malady. Like a beast, he pounces with no remorse. Her cry means nothing. Her pain feeds her shame. Like an orphan, she's left to grieve in solitude. But no more will she cry in vain. Her adversaries will henceforth bear the brunt of their cruelty. Rape is evil. Rape is a plague, a pandemic of monumental consequences. We must unite and kick it out of our society.
Connect with NTA and stand against rape and rapists. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, You can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Still watching Nationwide, and welcome to Ibadan. Of the 33 local government areas in Oyo State, Lagelu local government ranks second on the prevalence of coronavirus infection table in the state. This prompted the National Orientation Agency in Oyo State to embark on an advocacy visit to traditional rulers in the area. Correspondent Rofia Animashan Badmus was there and now reports.
The meeting at Iyanofa in Lagelu local government area was in line with the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 directive at sensitizing the traditional rulers on the need to stem down the spate of prevalence of the novel disease at the grassroots level. The National Orientation Agency team in Oyo State cheered the traditional rulers up on adopting personal hygiene in whatever they do.
We are seeing that people have started having social engagements, social celebrations where people gather together, and you will see that not all of them use their mask. We're advocating that in each of those meetings that they should please do more, they should empower more on why they need to comply with the protocols of COVID-19.
We are very happy. We are well educated, and we promise National Orientation Agency that all this, discussed with us today will be taken to our respective domains.
The State Director, National Orientation Agency, later presented face masks and flyers to the community leaders in Ibadan. Rofia Animashan Badmus, NTA News.
Kwara State government is to benefit from the 2019 World Bank-supported federal government grant for complying with necessary public financial management. An independent verification agent from the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation is in Ilorin to ascertain the state's compliance with the fiscal transparency and accountability. Aisha Yahya Abubakar has the details.
Following the successful 2018 annual performance assessment, which won the state a grant of 1.8 billion naira, the state is due for another grant, having met the necessary requirements. These include the engagement of citizens for their inputs in budget preparation, and improved internally generated revenue, and quarterly publication of the state's budget implementation.
We sincerely apologize for the mix-up in our Ibadan network studios. Moving on, here in Abuja, the coalition of concerned citizens from 5 states in Northeast has acknowledged the efforts of President Muhammadu Buhari in the fight against Boko Haram insurgency and other security challenges in the region. Against this backdrop, the group organized a solidarity rally at the Unity Fountain to appreciate the president for keeping to his promise of ensuring peace and harmony in the region. The report.
The activities of Boko Haram in Nigeria peaked between 2011 and 2014, with attacks on various towns in the northeast and bombings that claimed thousands of lives while displacing millions internally. The fight against terrorism, however, took a new turn from 2015, when the fight against insecurity became one of the cardinal objectives of this present administration. The result was the decimation of the terrorist activities and subsequent reclaiming of some local government captured by Boko Haram insurgents, making it possible for many IDPs to return to their homes. With these developments, concerned citizens from Adama, Bauchi, Gombe, Taraba and Yobe states organized a thank you rally for the government for the promises kept.
We appreciate that you are making a lot of effort to equip the military and other security agencies. We appreciate your effort in setting up the Northeast Development Commission. It is a great intervention that has helped greatly in restoring peace.
Meanwhile, another group, the Coalition for Nigeria Movement, says it has uncovered plot by some desperate elements to destabilize the country. The group called on the security agencies to rise in the defense of the nation.
The security agencies must, as a matter of urgency,
begin the process of identifying those mischief makers that do not want the progress of the country. They must also initiate a system that will avert the breakdown of law and order across the country.
The Coalition for Nigeria movement, as a critical stakeholder in democratic governance, is advising those individuals and organizations that have plotted evils against Nigeria to retrace their steps. In Abuja, Francis from NTA News.
And it's the turn of Abubakar in Maiduguri for more reports. Abubakar.
To see you, Hauwa, and now to our contributions on Nationwide this afternoon. Worried by the devastating effect of insurgency in the Northeast region, the Northeast Development Commission says it is ready to collaborate with any organization willing to assist in humanitarian development. This came up when the United Nations Deputy Humanitarian Coordinator and Head of Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, Trond Jensen, visited headquarters of the Commission in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Yagum Subukar reports.
Considering the fact that about 10 million people have been affected by activities of Boko Haram insurgency, leaving close to 2 million displaced, the Northeast Development Commission deemed it necessary to partner any organization willing to provide succor in terms of humanitarian development geared towards bringing lasting peace. Granting audience to UN Head of OCHA, the Managing Director, NEDC, Muhammad Goni Alkali, commended efforts of President Muhammadu Buhari for the approval of 10,000 houses to be constructed in order to decongest the almost 50 internally displaced persons camps across the state.
As a commission, we have various stakeholders which we need to interact with towards achieving our mandate.
UN Head of OCHA, Trond Jensen, affirmed of United Nations' willingness to partner NEDC in addressing the humanitarian needs of the people.
With COVID-19, we are potentially looking at the food crisis as well.
Meanwhile, the Managing Director, NEDC, Muhammad Goni Alkali, had received members of the Nigeria Society of Engineers Presidential Committee on Northeast Rehabilitation and Development, led by its chairman, Engineer Muhammad Kabir Wanuri, who assured to provide engineering solutions in rehabilitation of the region.
The need for us as engineers to provide solutions in the rebuilding process is absolutely necessary.
Similarly, representatives of the United Nations Development Programme had also visited the headquarters of the Commission, seeking collaboration with the NEDC. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
In the meantime, as the world marks Humanitarian Day, focus of event in Maiduguri was celebrating actors who paid the supreme price in serving humanity and those still in the game, supporting victims of conflict, especially the Boko Haram insurgency. Peace Ambassador Center for Humanitarian Aid and Empowerment and other stakeholders marked the day with distribution of relief materials to IDPs at the Bakassi camp in Maiduguri, Borno State capital. Mohammed Ibrahim completes the report.
The World Humanitarian Day is set aside by the United Nations General Assembly to honor those who died or were injured while providing humanitarian service and those who continue to bring assistance and relief to millions globally. In line with this, victims of humanitarian crisis, particularly the internally displaced persons in Maiduguri, have expressed concern over the gravity and rate of violent attacks on humanitarian service providers and their families in the Northeast, saying the humanitarian community has been supporting them with the needful. Executive Director of Peace Ambassador Center for Humanitarian Aid and Empowerment, Ambassador Ahmed Shehu, while extending condolences to families of humanitarian providers who lost their lives serving humanity, expressed commitment to providing support to the most vulnerable who desperately need relief.
Every stakeholder, including the government, to provide security and then safety to the aid workers and their facilities.
Chairperson Borno State Emergency Management Agency, Yaba Okolo, appreciated the confirmed magnanimity of the humanitarian community operating in the region, saying they are real heroes. Chairman Nigeria Labour Congress Borno State Chapter, Comrade Bulama Abiso, and other speakers at the event paid tribute to all humanitarian personnel who lost their lives in the service of humanity. Maiduguri, Muhammad Ibrahim, NTA News.
That will be it from Maiduguri. Let's now return to Hauwa in Abuja for more on Nationwide. Do enjoy the rest of the day.
Very well, Abubakar. And moving on here, Muslims all over the world are celebrating the new Islamic year 1442 after Hijrah of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. To this end, today is the 1st of Muharram, the first month of the Islamic lunar calendar. And joining me in the studio to shed light on the new Islamic year is an Islamic cleric, Dr. Abdulaziz Shitu, Head of Department, Islamic Studies, University of Abuja. Thanks for joining us on Nationwide and Happy New Year to you. What does the commencement of the calendar signify for the Muslim Ummah?
Thank you very much for having me. The commencement of Islamic calendar, new Islamic calendar, signifies a new era in the Islamic world, across the world, because it's a new dawn when the Prophet ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Medina in order to set up Muslim community there, and from there Islam expands to other parts of the world.
Okay, is there a particular way we're supposed to celebrate today, or there are special acts of worship that we should undertake?
Actually, before going to that, how did the Islamic calendar start? We should look at that, because during the leadership of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, one of his governors that he appointed to oversee the affairs of the Muslim wrote to him and said, "O Amirul Mu'minun," that is, leader of the faithful, at times you write me a letter whereby you instruct me to do so and so thing in the month of Rajab or another month. The letter may get to me very late, whereby I will not know whether the current month or the previous month or the month to come. So in that way, so we are confused. If you can set for us whereby the date or calendar will be following, so that is why Hijra calendar came into being.
So what would be the message for the Ummah today?
The message for the Ummah today is that to reflect on the significance of Hijra, that is perseverance, endurance, sharing, hope that whatever one is going through, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, as the Medina society provided for the Muslims.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdulaziz Shitu, Head of Department, Islamic Studies, University of Abuja.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, sports now with Kene Imabodike.
With the gradual return of non-contact sports in